Hello there, football fans. Once again, it's Friday's edition of Fast Money Football, and let's all thank the Champions League for really trying to keep us focused on the pitch this week. They did their best, didn't they? Some fascinating results. PSG capitulating once again. I found myself rooting for Real Madrid. Oh, felt dirty afterwards, but wow. Once again, PSG just do it at the worst time possible. What will that mean for them? Meanwhile, Bayern Munich sticks 7 past poor old Red Bull Salzburg. Felt bad for them. Bayern have this in them, of course, these kind of goals. And Lewandowski, who we said he's not in best form right now, scores 3. Yeah, that happened. And of course, Inter Milan beat Liverpool at Anfield, but it's not enough. They crash out. So thank you, Champions League. But let's be honest, that screeching sound you may have heard around Wednesday, Thursday was the sport hitting its brakes, its collective brakes, after Roman Abramovich was sanctioned by the UK government. Now, there's too many layers to get to them all really on this show. We'll get to them, I'm sure, over the coming weeks. But let's focus on why Chelsea should be really worried, why the fans should be worried right now. I guess the good news is, despite this, the staff and players are still getting paid at the time being, but there's very little income coming in at the moment. So when the money runs out, then what happens? Reportedly, the wage bill is around £28 million a month, which is just a bit more than the parlays. It's a lot, isn't it? £28 million a month. And in the last financials from 2021, there was about 16 million in the bank liquid cash. So currently, the team can still receive broadcast revenues and prize monies, which is okay. So short term, it seems Chelsea is probably okay. And let's face it, the government in UK don't want to hurt Chelsea. They don't want to hurt the club, but they're forced into these actions, which will potentially hurt Chelsea because there's a transfer ban essentially right now. They can't sign any new contracts to players. So free agents like Antonio Rudiger, Cesar Azpilicueta, Andreas Christensen, they will all walk regardless of whether they want to or not this summer if the sanctions remain in place. Now, the one golden carrot here is, of course, a sale. They can't legally sell the club right now, but the club can get a special license from the government if Abramovich finds a buyer and will prove to the government that he'll make no profit, no monies from this deal. He says at the moment the club's worth about £3 billion, which, according to experts, is way too much. More likely £2 billion is a deal that could be made. And there's a lot of people interested. A lot of people interested in buying this club. It could be an opportunity to buy low. But the fact of the matter is, Chelsea fans, the old Chelsea's done with. It will be a new Chelsea born from this because Roman Abramovich has invested so much money of his own money into this club to keep it going, to get the best players. About £1.5 billion, in fact, he's invested into this club, which he won't get back now. That's gone, essentially. So, a new, more sustainable Chelsea could be born. Could still be really very, very good, but there are years of the multi-billionaire benefactor just piling his own money into the club. It looks like it's done. But like I mentioned, it's a nuanced and layered conversation, so much to get to, most of it, which I don't even understand, is global, Eastern, European, Russian politics. Let's face it. Let's stick in our lane, shall we? Sports. Now, I promised you last week, I said we will talk about Arsenal this week, and I will talk about Arsenal this week, who have their own ownership headaches. Stan Kroenke is not particularly popular with the fan base. Apparently, he's too cheap. But so far this season, it seems like the plan is really working at the moment. This team's playing some pretty good football. If you look at the table at the moment, they're in 4th place. Arsenal, in 25 games played, 48 points. Now, it's a point up on 5th place Manchester United, who have played 28 games. 3 games more than Arsenal. West Ham, also in 28 games, they have 45 points. And then there's Spurs, Albert Spurs, 26 games played, so 1 more than Arsenal, 45 points. So at the table right now, the Gunners look really good for 4th place. Don't rule out Spurs just yet, but it's pretty close now, I think, to ruling out United and West Ham. Here's an interesting stat about Arsenal, which really wowed me. After Alisson and Ederson, who's got the most clean sheets this season in the Premier League? Yeah? Well, number 3, Aaron Ramsdale of Arsenal. He's been fantastic and is, for me, very much a future, if not current, England number one. We'll see when the World Cup comes around where Jordan Pickford's doing, because his club's not doing very well at the moment. But Aaron Ramsdale's been just superb. The attack's been pretty healthy since Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's soap opera when he left and essentially walked away from the team back in December now, believe it or not. They have one loss in the last 11 games in the league, and that was against Man City. Even Granit Xhaka is getting plaudits right now. Granit Xhaka is playing pretty well, believe it or not. Um, I think Arsenal's a club that could really benefit from a potential Chelsea decline here as well. Take advantage of that space in the top four if that happens. They've got a young squad. Mikel Arteta has learned under Pep Guardiola. I think he's got it figured out. So yeah, Arsenal fans, I think you should be pretty happy right now. It's been an up and down season, I know, but overall in the league, top four football, back in the Champions League, very much on the cards. And by the way, speaking of good managers, I mentioned before PSG, but could Mauricio Pochettino be fired soon after losing to Real Madrid in that awful capitulation? I just love the word capitulation. Use it as much as possible. Mauricio Pochettino, could he be gone? Likely he is gone this summer, right? So if that's the case, if he gets canned next couple of days, next couple of weeks, would Manchester United, who's been linked with for years now, jump right now and get their man in place? Or would they wait till the summer when maybe an Ajax's Eric Ten Hag is also available? You can decide then whether it's Poch or Ten Hag, two great choices in my opinion. Or will this be the most recent United way? Will they just wait and see and then end up missing out on both of them? Or will it be the old way when it's already sorted out? Everyone knows there's handshake groups behind the scenes. We know what's going on. I don't know. Which one do you believe? It's hard to say. Let's bring in Albert Vartanian. We've got time for a new segment coming up. But firstly, United, Poch or Ten Hag or neither? What are you thinking?
I think neither, to be completely honest with you. I think Poch would be good in terms of building a team, but I just don't know if the club, the fans have the patience for that. So I think you need to bring in someone who can get results quickly.
Someone like Jose Mourinho or someone like Louis van Gaal, for
Antonio
example?
Conte would probably be at the top of that list. I don't know why he wasn't, but there was a rumor coming out right now. Actually, Pochettino has apparently said to his, I guess, his cohorts that United must convince him that he's their number one before he decides to go there, which I found very interesting.
I hate it when these managers say, I want to be number one. Like, just go through the process. There's other guys out there who are also really good. Regarding Conte, I mean, I know what you're saying. Guaranteed, well, not guaranteed, look at Spurs. But, it's a good chance he'll turn it around pretty quickly with the right budget. But I think what this team needs more than anything is stability.
Yeah.
They don't need a crazy guy up there. They need more of well, Sir Alex was crazy as well in his own special way. But just, I think someone who can calm the waters a little bit.
Yeah, Sir Alex was crazy, but he controlled the club, right?
Yeah,
He was at the top of the food chain. With Conte, a lot of people say, "Oh, he goes to a club and he leaves after 2 seasons. He goes to another club, leaves after 2 seasons." The reason he usually leaves and he left Inter is because they stopped funding him. They don't want to give him the money that he wants to refresh the squad, rebuild the squad. Same thing that Sir Alex Ferguson did throughout all those years. He consistently refreshed that squad. United always spend 100, 150 million every transfer window. So I don't know if they would actually have that issue with Conte. They'd be able to give him that money.
Yeah, perhaps you're right. Yeah. I don't know. The Glazers, I don't trust the Glazers as far as are they going to keep pouring money into this club?
Yeah.
They use it as their own personal cash box anyway. Right. At what point do they say, no, we've invested enough money in this? I mean, they might sell. It's possible as well at some point. I mean, I'd love to see Conte up there. I think it'd be really interesting. Although
I don't want to see it, James. No.
As a Spurs fan, you're quite happy with him being there right now, right?
He's happy right now. I want to keep him happy. Hopefully, he can go to United and get a result, and he can stay happy. Regarding more, potential managers for Manchester United, there's a lot out there right now. Zidane, he's probably gonna go to the national team, I would think, the French national team
or PSG.
Pochettino, Ten Hag, as you mentioned. But what about Thomas Tuchel? If everything does end up going south with Chelsea, as it might well happen, I mean, he has to be with a shout to go to United as well.
Yeah, you know what? I know Jamie Carragher was saying, United, get off your backsides. If this is possible, go and snag him now if you get a chance. I mean, listen, who knows what's going to happen with Chelsea? They could get bought today, right? And they're stable once again. But if there's any chance of getting Thomas Tuchel, you have to do it. Absolutely. I mean, he's proven himself, I think, in the Prem, despite the ups and downs this season. He's proven himself. He's won the Champions League already. Yeah, I mean, we discussed before, he's up there with the Peps and the Klopps and the Poches, maybe, and
Yeah.
the Ten Hags. I mean, Ten Hag's a sexy name because Ajax are this young team, but I mean, let's give him a little bit of time, I think, to perhaps develop himself. But he's very good as well. I don't know. It'll be fascinating.
Yeah, Tuchel seems to tick all the boxes. He won major silverware. He develops youth. He brings in good players. He's got good systems, plays different systems. German coach, because German coaches seem to do very well in the Premier League. I mean, Ralf Rangnick's having a tough time at the moment, but there's a lot to do with what's going on behind the scenes. And let's actually start with that game. So we have this new segment you came up with, which I think is fantastic. Attack or defend. So I'm going to come up with a line for one of the games, and you're going to attack or defend it. Pretty straightforward.
Sounds good, pal. Sounds good.
Okay, let's start. Manchester United, Tottenham United. Plus 120 at home, Tottenham plus 225. I think that United line is a trap. Plus 120, don't trust them. I don't really trust either of these teams, but I am looking at Tottenham draw no bet plus 150. If they win, you get your money. If they draw, you get your money back. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I'm going to defend this one. I like it as well. I really think United is broken right now. We saw that last week being smashed by City, the heads down. They didn't want to be there at all. That's a team without leadership right now. Ronaldo's still doubtful for this one as well. And Spurs, they smashed 5 past Everton on Monday, looked really good. Back-to-back league wins. I think, and we discuss this every week, I think Conte's kind of got it figured out a little bit more now. Kane's just firing on all cylinders, just past Thierry Henry. I think Spurs are up for a really good, end to the season. I know United have Varane back, so defensively they could be better. It could be a very conservative approach from them, which means, it could be a draw. So if you protect yourself from that draw, I'm with you. I think Spurs are a better team, and Spurs a team going up, I think, and United coming down. It's going to be a Spurs win.
Yeah, it's difficult to back either of these teams. Like if you look at Tottenham's last 6. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. They can't put together back-to-back wins. It's a big issue. But more recently they've gone to Old Trafford and they've done pretty well. I mean, just a couple seasons ago under Mourinho, they beat them 6-1. Yes, right. No fans in the stands. That was during COVID. I mean, there was a lot on players' minds at that time, but they still have the same attacking quality in Son and Kane. And I think on the counterattack, they can really hurt them. My major concern is you actually mentioned this last week. When a team plays into Spurs like Everton did, attacking and opening up those spaces, Tottenham can kill them. United don't really do that. No. They want to sit back just as much as Spurs do. So I think they can almost nullify each other, and we can see maybe a 0-0, like you mentioned, a 1-1. But an alternative bet that I'm looking at is probably Harry Kane. Plus 160 to score, James. 10 on the season, 5 goals in his last 6. He had 2 nice ones against Everton.
He's on the heater right now, isn't he? So yeah. Absolutely, that's great money there. That's just guaranteed money. He's going to score this weekend. He likes big games too, right? And maybe he's auditioning for a spot. Sorry, Albert, but auditioning for a spot at United in the summertime is possible as well, right? So I like that as well. He's just playing. Once again, he's one of the top strikers in world football, and he wasn't that for much of this season. And what he does, how he drops deep to get the ball when he has to, he's a great playmaker. Him and Son have the best synergy maybe in world football between 2 players, in attack. I love the guy. He's playing brilliant once again, and I apologize for everything I said about him up until this point.
Harry Kane. It's unfortunate that those two are so good and they've done so much and broken so many records. Not a single trophy between them, except the Audi Cup. I think they won in 2017. Big time trophy. All right, Brighton plus 450 at home to Liverpool minus 185. I think that minus 185 is actually pretty good. For Liverpool. The draw is plus 330. The bet I'm looking at here, James, I see nothing but a Liverpool win, but you want to juice up those odds. Liverpool -1, so they got to win by at least 2 goals at almost even money, -120.
Yeah, I'm going to defend that one as well. I think Brighton, they've lost 4 straight games. They're just not where they were. They're still lurking in the mid-table ranges, probably where they should be. And in those 4 defeats, they've conceded at least 2 goals in each of those. Their defense is, 6s and 7s at the moment. 1 win in 10 at home as well. The Amex used to be, a bit of a tough place to play. Not recently, it hasn't been. Whereas the Reds, they're coming off a loss to Inter Milan, as mentioned before, but they looked okay in that match. I mean, hit the crossbar and the posts 3 times. And Mo Salah, 2 posts himself. And he said post-match, joking around, he goes, well, maybe I'll just score 3 goals in the next match. And you know what? He might well do it. It wouldn't surprise me at all. He'll be all over that beleaguered Brighton defense. And so I'm with you. I think it could be a resounding Liverpool win on the road.
Defensively, there's big issues for Brighton, and that's usually their strong suit. But not having Adam Webster for the past, I think, 3 games, he got an injury against Manchester United, and they lost that game. But since then, they lost those 3. This was a guy who's being tipped for an England call-up. That's how important he has been to Brighton. Lewis Dunk doesn't seem to be the same. They sold Dan Burn to Newcastle. They didn't really make any moves to strengthen that back line during the transfer window. So there's issues there. And once again, every single season, it's the same song and dance for Brighton. They can't score goals, and they don't bring in anybody who can score goals. I mean, Maupay is a good striker. He just can't find the back of the net. I mean, when you look at their home form, 1 win in 10, their last one coming February 2nd against Brentford. This has Liverpool win written all over it. I like the -1 as well. I also like Liverpool to win to nil, James, plus 170, 5 clean sheets in their last 7.
Yeah, that's good to me as well. And they're coming off that first loss in a while against Inter Milan. They're going to be angry and hungry for some points this weekend. Graham Potter is a really good young manager, but his kind of star's been a little bit tarnished the last little while as well.
Yeah.
So I think Brighton is a decent team, but it's a long season and depth is the issue there, right? He gets some injuries. You mentioned Webster. You're right, who suddenly became the next Franco Baresi over the course of the last few months because of good performances. But how often do we see this guy come through from nowhere and then get injured and miss a few weeks? It seems it happens a lot for some reason. I don't know why. But Brighton, beleaguered right now. They're in trouble. I see, as I mentioned, a resounding win for Liverpool. And to nothing. Absolutely.
They could get dragged into the relegation race, but they're relatively safe. Another team that is right in the heart of it, James, coming off a 5-0 thrashing from Spurs, Everton at home. They're the favorites at home to Wolves.
Yeah.
Plus 135, Wolves plus 250. Straight up, Wolves plus 250 is the bet.
It's I'm going to attack this one simply because, I mean, listen, Wolves, and that's good numbers for Wolves, right? Because what we've seen them do this season is pretty great. But I still have a bit of faith about Everton here. I know they're
Really?
coming off a really poor performance, but they're at home again. And they've been a different beast in home, like a completely different team. Jekyll and Hyde. They've been crushing it at home, and that Goodison crowd is going to demand a performance. Frank Lampard crucified his players on Monday, saying it wasn't good enough. We tried this, we thought about this, we discussed this. They didn't come through. They're playing for jobs at that team right now, and at home, I think it's absolutely key. So I think they could pick up a result in this one. I haven't quite bought into Wolves now after the 3 straight losses prior to the Watford win. Goals are hard to come by. I know they defend really, really well. But if you look at Everton, the last little while, the last 9 games, that they've 9 goals in the last 4 games at home, and that includes a 1-0 loss to Man City, right? So at home, they score goals, they find ways. Calvin Phillips is getting healthy again. He wasn't great last weekend, I know that, but he's getting better. So I think Everton could pip this one. So I'm going to attack that. I know the numbers are really tempting with Wolves, but I'm going to say no.
Yeah, Everton really have been a different beast at Goodison Park. And you can say they probably deserved at least a point against Manchester City. They would have got a penalty for that handball. We can go over that, but we went over that before.
Exactly.
I like Wolves a lot. I know, they've lost a couple of games, but now they're bouncing back. They're relatively healthy. Neto, I think, was rested. He came on later on in the game. Podence, obviously, he's scoring goals. Ruben Neves had another fantastic performance. Max Kilman was rested for that game, so he's coming in fresh. He's been one of their best defenders, and their away record is fantastic. 4th best away record in the league. And if you look at Everton in terms of goals allowed, 46 goals allowed. That's in the top 5. That's relegation number. So that's where I see Wolves doing damage. I can see them going in there, and the first goal is going to be crucial. And Wolves team to like scoring that first goal. So I think they go in there, score that first goal, and then just set up shop. And it's going to be very difficult for this Everton team who, they're not really creating chances. Yes, they'll have their crowd behind them, but it's just the attack and the defense. There's big issues there.
Well, they could be in the drop zone too by kickoff, right?
Oh,
Burnley's playing before. They could be in the relegation zone. So a lot of pressure, and they could do one or two things. They could completely capitulate. I'm using that word again because I love it so much. Or they could, grow from this. We said it all season long. They're not as bad as they look. I don't think. There's some good players in that team. Now, they're relying on some youth. They're relying on some reclamation projects, which is always a bit dangerous late in the season. So I understand there's big issues there. And Frank Lampard is not Pep Guardiola. Let's not kid ourselves. But I just see this one. I see a bounce back performance from Everton. And if they don't, then they're 100% in that drop race. Because, if you can't get up for this kind of game against a beatable opponent, then they're a good team, Wolves, yes, but they're not a great team. A beatable opponent, you're at home, you could be in the drop zone, you're coming with a bad performance. Everything points to a good performance for me.
If you were to guess, James, they have Wolves next, like we were just talking about, Newcastle, and then Palace. How many points from those 3 games do you think for Everton?
For Everton, Wolves, Newcastle, Palace. Well, Newcastle can't lose right now. All right.
They
So,
look so good.
oh, so good. My God, they're one of the best teams in the league right now. And they genuinely are. It's incredible what he's done, even with Trippier injured. Okay, so all right, so they're gonna lose against Everton. I'll see a draw against Newcastle. Is that Wolves, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Everton. Sorry. Oh,
This
Everton.
one's
Is
at
it
Everton, sorry.
It'll be at that match will be at Newcastle.
No, this at Goodison as well. The last match will be at
Oh,
Palace.
okay.
Selhurst.
Jeez. Okay. So, okay, they're going to beat Wolves 3, lose to Newcastle 3, get a draw last match. So 4 points in these games.
That's probably about right. I mean, if they can get all 9 points here, that's huge for them. They really need it. I mean, I've made fun of it on the past shows. I mean, it'd be interesting to see Everton go down just because you never see big teams go down. I was trying to think of the last time that happened. Maybe like West Ham?
Well, Newcastle went down, right?
Right?
Yeah, Newcastle went down. West Ham went down.
Yeah. But Newcastle's that team that seems to always go down, right? So I'm thinking of a team that's been in the league for so long.
Yeah, I guess I'm just because I grew up with Newcastle being a Premier League
Yeah.
team.
See, I missed that. I missed that whole era.
They're a legitimate, for me, they're a legitimate Premier League team.
Right.
Aston Villa were down, right? They came back up. I would say Villa, West Ham, they're the 2 big ones. I mean, it's been, I think 1951 was the last time Everton went down. Think about that, right? I think Arsenal is the other team that's been longer, has never gone down, but 1951. So for Everton to go down this season would be a huge story and a real shame because, I know I'm a Liverpool fan, but that city loves that team and they should be playing top flight football.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about Frank Lampard. I think it's a big issue that they hired him. That's a big mistake, and it could end up costing them the whole entire season. But anyway, that's it for Fast Money Football. That's been James Sharman with Attack and Defend, the newest segment here on Fast Money Football. You can follow him on Twitter at James Sharman. You can follow me at TheRealBirdV. And please head over to parlay.tv for more parlay content. Good luck this weekend, guys.